Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, Drew Gann and Rusty Witten. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, Rusty Buckus, checking in with my best friend, Drew Gann, as always. And what y'all don't see is that for the last 30 minutes, we've been yelling at each other in the green room, talking about Taylor Jenkins to get it off of our chests so we can have a very positive, uplifting show today. What's up, Drew? How are you, buddy?
I once heard a story about Ed Sheeran writing songs. He's like, the best analogy to think of when it comes to like learning how to write a good song is you've got a whole sink full of mud and you just turn the water on. And then once all the mud gets out, it just simulates like the continued effort, and once all the mud gets out, then you come out with good songs. And I felt like for about 30 minutes, we got all the mud out in like the green room so that we could, when we get heated like this, we always come out the other side, kind of understanding each other a little bit better, and we can talk about it better, and we don't have an hour and 45-minute show.
Exactly, because we've been known to go for 2+ yelling at each other, and then we've learned. Talking about learning and growth and development for Taylor Jenkins, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Two Bucks is we've learned to yell at each other off air so that we can be friendly on air and have a much more, copacetic show for sure.
Yeah, and Rusty did pull like a CBS debate moderator and muted my mic at one point, and so I did not appreciate that. So
he was comparing me to a high school mom, and I was like, enough, I'm done.
I stand by it. All right, so we're going to start every show, start this show off the same way we start every show. We got a lot to talk about. We haven't talked much lately because you've been doing what you're going to talk about in your best of the week. But we start this show with catching up. Two best friends over a decade. And so, Rusty, let's talk about it. What's the best thing that happened to you this week?
If you know me, you know I have been in Universal Studios for the last 3 days with my girlfriend Maggie, celebrating her birthday, which was Sunday, and we had a ball. Couldn't have had better weather. It was hot. I got some sun. It was sunny, but we had a nice breeze the whole time. Going in November is definitely the move because it wasn't super crowded, especially in the morning. We would get there early and there was not a soul there, 5-10 minute waits. Now, Hagrid's motorbike ride, which was the best ride we did all week, had a long line the whole time. But most rides with our express pass, we could walk right up and get on within 5 or 10 minutes. Great food. Again, just had an amazing time getting away. I turned my phone off. I wasn't plugged into anything, and it was fantastic. Nice getting away. First time going to Universal, and controversial take, I don't know, I like it better than Disney. It's not so busy and so much stuff that 3 days was the perfect amount of time to do it, to hit Harry Potter World, to hit Jurassic World, Marvel Island, all that they have there. And then, do some off stuff. We rode a Popeye ride, a boat ride that got us soaking wet, which was fun. We did King Kong, Jurassic Park, all the Harry Potter rides, just had an amazing time. Ate really good food. We tried butterbeer. It's a little too sweet for both of us. It tasted like butterscotch, and I could share a drink of that, but I couldn't drink a whole thing. Now they did have some good Harry Potter.
You're not old enough for butterscotch.
Exactly. They had some good Harry Potter themed beers, some great ice cream, including strawberry and peanut butter. And I know you won't like that, but it was really, really good.
I'm an American.
The move though was they had a huckleberry ice cream and an apple crisp ice cream that paired together. It tasted like a pie. It was freaking amazing.
Yeah,
dude.
I'd eat my weight in that.
So best of the week is spending time with Maggie, celebrating her birthday. Happy belated, baby. It was a great time. Hated to come back, but definitely the best was being in Universal the last 3 days.
Yeah. Well, back
as
here,
you can see, real quick, as you can see here over my shoulder, we have a new friend here that Maggie got me. It's a Deadpool piggy bank, and it's amazing with the katanas. I'm so stoked about that. When we saw that, she goes, "That would look so good on your shows." And I was like,
I love you.
Thank you.
Here,
I love
take
you.
this
You're
ring.
amazing. Exactly. Like, yeah, that's the one.
You know what? I don't have a ring yet, but I'm ready.
This counts.
But yeah, well, back home, the weather was here, and we wish you were beautiful,
Sure.
because it was nasty at
Yeah, that's what I
times this
heard.
week. All right, so as a rule, we typically don't talk sports in our best and beef segment of the week. But if you've noticed, we've done some changing up with our formats and our topics. And so this is the only avenue I have to talk about Ole Miss beating Georgia this Saturday in Vaughn-Hemingway Stadium.
Be careful. I'll mute you again.
I will start this thing over. And it wasn't, if I wasn't just like a tortured Ole Miss fan, I probably would have had more fun watching that football game than any single football game in my entire life. But I was just waiting for us to like gack all over ourselves at one point or another. But what it came down to is Ole Miss spotted Georgia 7 points and then beat them 28-3 the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Carson Beck got strip sacked 4 times, lost 2 of them. He threw a pick off of a deflected pass when it mattered most. Dude was picking grass out of his helmet all game long. Jackson Dart was an absolute warrior. He went out with an ankle sprain on the first drive, which caused the interception that he threw because he couldn't plant on his front foot. Staled it. DVs are going to pick that off every single time. Backup quarterback comes in for a drive and looks amazing to the point where it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe get that. Make sure that ankle's right, Then Jackson Dart comes back in, and it was just a masterclass. It was a Kiffin masterclass. It's a kind of game that I've never seen him call before because he knew we were better than Georgia, and he did not get greedy. He did not go full Joey Freshwater. He did not gamble at all. We kicked 5 field goals because he knew that Georgia was not scoring. Yeah. And we beat them with field goals, but we added 2 touchdowns in just for the flavor of it. It's a
good thing you're sitting. It's a good thing you're sitting down because what I'm about to say might shock you.
I have been to say like if it's lasted for more than 4 hours.
Oh no, I know you called me with the most epic tirade of a voicemail that I've had in a long time. I sent it to you like it was a heater, man, for sure. But I am a known critic, obviously, of Lane Kiffin and his antics and what he does. Called him the James Franklin of the SEC. For the first time in a long time, Ole Miss out-physicaled a physical team. I watched the highlights. Like, the trenches won that game, and for the first time in a long time, it went in Ole Miss's favor. Walter Nolan, that defense was amazing. Pete Golding, Lane Kiffin deserve all the props for that win. That was an impressive showing from Ole Miss in a season that had basically felt like it had been lost, right? Like, at that point, like, you feel like I'm on the outside looking in. We're never going to make the playoffs. And they were able to rally the troops and get a massive win. Kudos to the Ole Miss coaching staff.
Yeah, so this whole thing started last year because you thought you weren't wanting to have a shot at, like, being really good last year. Mm-hmm. And you just got beat up front and just tortured by Georgia. And like Kiffin said, going into our last season ended and going into this season when he's talking about the portal and what he's looking for, he built a team to beat Georgia. Yep. And that was his whole motivation. And he did it. And in a season where it did go left quickly, they got it back right. And that's just something that you don't see. You have not seen out of Lane Kiffin. And when you brought up the James Franklin of the SEC, I didn't like it, but I couldn't really argue against it because he had not won that game, even though he had beaten James Franklin. But he won it. And he won it convincingly.
He did.
And Ole Miss and just a quick plug, if you're listening to this Tuesday night, I'm going to do another live talk about the college football playoff poll that comes out. And I talked about this last Tuesday on the poll. Ole Miss has found itself with a win against Georgia with probably one of the easier paths in because they've ranked you high. They've ranked you as if it were today, you're in, and your schedule is not hard. You got to go to Florida and you play Mississippi State at home. You got one of the best schedules leading into the playoff.
There's a really good chance you're going to see Ole Miss there. But listen, we got more of that coming on Tuesday night. We got some other cool announcements coming soon. Let's get to our beef. We'll be quick with those. Mine is like a pseudo beef. I just spent all of my money at Universal on gear and good stuff, that kind of thing. Why are the Memphis Grizzlies now releasing the Memphis Sounds gear that I'm also going to have to spend all my money on? Drew and I are going to the game on Sunday. We'll be in the Forum on Sunday watching the Grizz and Nuggets in the first Sounds game. And, buddy, like, I'm just telling you, like, we need to get there early because I'm going to spend a massive amount of time and an unhealthy amount of money in the store.
Yeah, I reckon, I'll just borrow some money or something. It's really unfortunate or fortunate, depending on how you want to look at it, that I get paid on Friday. The 15th is on Friday. If the 15th was on Monday, I'd probably make better decisions.
Right. But I sent you our group chat on Instagram, me, you, Luke, and Wayno, the Grind City Media walkthrough. They've got a black hoodie. They've got a red hoodie, a quarter zip. I'm going to spend so much money, man.
I'm a hoodie fanatic. Like, I love the black hoodie and I like the quarter zip, but the quarter zip has got to fit tight around my wrist or I won't wear it.
Agreed. So, I don't like it be baggy. Like, it's got to be a good fit. And I just got a Jurassic Park hoodie. I don't need another one, but I might get that black hoodie.
Yeah. So, and if anybody walks around in there or sees it, I would love to make sure. I want a Desmond Bain. I think I've made my mind up on Bain because I love the double deuce. And the video that you sent me only showed Ja, but surely they've got more. I'm sure. They'll have Ja, Jaren, and Dez. I almost guarantee it. Yeah. And Edie, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. You think they'll have any Laravia? Maybe I'll get a 3.
Doubtful.
All right.
Get out of here.
Yeah, my beef of the week. My son he's had hand, foot, mouth since last Friday. Yeah. And he's fine. Like, there ain't nothing wrong with him. He's a little scaly, but he has not been able to go to daycare for a week. And so, like, I've taken him to meet my mom a couple of days early in the morning, and I took off a day, and Haley took off a day last week. And, I just need that to stop for my convenience, not his, really.
Need him to feel better as ASAP as possible, as Michael Scott would say. For sure, because he's been going on with it for a while, man. But hey, thanks for tuning in. Listen, we're gonna take a quick commercial break here before we dive into our Grizzly stuff. We have a commercial now. Super excited to get that back up here and get that going. Shout out to Kenny and the boys. But listen, if you're here now, you don't want to miss next Friday. Uncle Buck and I are going live. We're gonna record at 3 p.m. next Friday right here on this same channel. You can interact with us on the comments. Tell your friends. Let's hype this thing up. Let's get the comments going. It's Friday. Like, who works hard on a Friday afternoon anyway? Let's make this thing happen. I'm super stoked to go live next Friday. Y'all be here 3 p.m. Central Time. Wayno, you do the math to figure out whatever time that is for you. Here in God's time zone, it'll be 3 p.m. live on YouTube and twitter.com. Let's go, man. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, really excited about that. Something we're kind of trying to add to our repertoire.
Yeah. So we'll see you on the other side of the commercial break. We will talk Grizzlies and no more wasting of your time, as was once told us on the YouTubes.
I'm excited for the Grizzlies can be. As you mentioned, you guys are dealing with a lot of injuries, but that's kind of what excites you because you've seen a lot of guys like make a name for themselves. I think Jalen Wells has been like, I'm just like wowed by him. I think it was a guy that I didn't know much about. And so kind of seeing him like come into this like fold and like being a starter. And like, I think you're going to have to answer a lot of hard questions, especially healthy again. When you have so many guys that you can like plug and play like that makes it where it's like, oh, this team could be really good. And Zach Edey, I know from being a Grizzlies fan in Memphis, like the big has always been, that puzzle piece that we've been trying to figure out what it's like. And will Zach Edey as a rookie be good? Seeing him play last night, it was like, especially when you think about like we were undersized, but how Zach Edey as a rookie can like dominate and seeing the connection and the chemistry that he already has with Ja Morant is, to me, that excites me for like what is to come.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
And let's give Jacob Arabia a shout out. I know he catches a lot of flack, but he's had a great week since that contract to get renewed. Even that night against Milwaukee, he had a good game. So
since Halloween,
I think he has the highest plus minus on the team, and he's been a plus in every single game since the first loss to the Nets. He's been a positive on the court ever since then. So
I mean, he's been the most. Is it weird that he's been the most reliable guy that we've had out there? The growth that Jake has shown just in a season's length of games is really impressive, and considering how like bad he was, like when he got drafted, it's pretty impressive.
Right.
It might be one of the most impressive things Kleiman's done.
Tune in to The Daily Grind with your host, Lute Hatmaker, every Monday through Friday at 7:30 a.m. live on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Let's go. We got a Daily Grind commercial. Uncle Buck was celebrating for a different reason, which we'll get to here in a minute. But what a great segue for our show we got coming up. We've got great conversation about how healthy we're going to be with our rotations. Spoiler alert, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Jake the Arabia, spoiler alert. But these are other great shows on our network. The Anthony Sain Show, No Bluffing, the Core Four. We've got Grizz 901 postgame is back. DG and Nate do an awesome job running that show. Y'all check them out. Hop in those comments. They usually fire. I did not stay up for the postgame last night. I kind of was dozing it off anyway. I woke up to see about the final 8 minutes of the game and then went to bed because it was a travel day. But tune in. A lot of great stuff on our network as we talk about your Memphis Grizzlies. And Drew, since we last talked, the Grizzlies are showing signs of growth. Jake LaRavia being one of them. Taylor Jenkins being one of them. Zach Edey being one of them. We're seeing some things that are looking better. Even in a loss against the Lakers, I like the direction that the Grizzlies are heading coming into a stretch when we're really going to need it with the Warriors and the Nuggets looming in the NBA Cup.
Yeah, so I believe last Friday when we talked, we were preparing for a game against the Washington Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
That was domination by a deplorable franchise. Then we went to Portland and dominated another deplorable team. However, that Portland team just won back-to-back games against Minnesota.
Yeah. And
then we arrived at last night. Wasn't a lot to take from those two previous games. So we're going to really camp out at the Lakers game because if we're being honest, the Wizards and the Pelicans are running
for the
full speed towards Cooper Flag.
One thing I want to say about that Trailblazers game, though, and we saw it against the Lakers. It didn't work as well against the Lakers, but we went a little bit smaller, a more athletic lineup to start the game. And we had a 21-9 run in the first quarter against the Trailblazers. You're not going to do that against everybody. Part of that's because of the Trailblazers, but I like where that's heading for this team because it gets you some momentum early. Then you could put Edey in against like the second team big where he's still trying to develop. Personally, I like the smaller athletic lineup to start games.
Yeah, so that's probably the biggest thing that you can take going into the Lakers game, even though the Lakers, Brandon Clark was hurt. But for Portland and for Washington, Brandon Clark did make it into the starting lineup in place of Zach Edey, and it was a bludgeoning. And I want to say that I like it a lot, but you were going to beat that team by 50, whether it was Zach Edey starting at the 5 or Brandon Clark. I do like Brandon Clark starting because, like you said, it allows a faster pace with Ja, and there's no better two-man lineup in the history of the Memphis Grizzlies than Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson Jr. So just put them on the court together.
And it gets better. It keeps getting better.
Yeah. So now,
but real quick, leading into that Laker game.
About that point. So Jaren Jackson Jr. plus minus on the season, plus 107. Brandon Clark, number 2 at plus 86.
It makes sense. But leading into that Laker game, we knew it was going to be all hands on deck because we are currently the Lakers Super Bowl. You can watch Twitter, you can watch the games. We are the team that LeBron plays his best against because he knows Ja's going to give him that best shot. We didn't have Ja last night, But it's obvious that we are in the Lakers' head based on how they play, and they have known Grizzlies killer heading into last night. Rui Hachimura is the most mid player ever, but against the Grizzlies in his last 6 before last night, he is shooting 75% from the floor against the Grizzlies. We knew we were going to get their best shot last night, and that's exactly what we got.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I want to say it's a Rui Hachimura. Maybe he's got he wanted to smash his Japanese brethren, with Yuki on the other bench.
Yeah.
But this has been going on with Rui. And I think what the difference is Rui gets open shots against the Grizzlies. Yes, he's made some tough ones in the past, but like a lot of them are just butt naked open. And he hit several of them last night. He really kind of broke our backs late. Him and Dalton Connect in the fourth quarter just kind of got hot and hit threes at the right time. And the Grizzlies lost the game by 5 points, in which the Lakers shot 50% from 3 or 49% from 3 on 41 attempts. Like, we're going to talk about it. This is where we got all hot and bothered and yelled at each other in the green room. There's plenty of reasons why you lost that game. And you can, there's been a lot of Taylor Jenkins talk, credible. I think some points can be made about Taylor Jenkins and taking Zach Edey out with 6 minutes to go in the game with 5 fouls. I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. with 5 fouls. But ultimately where I land is that you give up 128 points on 50% shooting from 3, and the Lakers do not lose or have not lost home games this year. Like, you're fighting an uphill battle with an all. Right.
Agreed. So
just accept the loss as a loss and just move on. Like,
what? Okay. Yeah. One of the things for me that Vince Williams Jr., who is rumored to be coming back tonight as you're listening against the Warriors, is perimeter defense. We've been struggling with that all year. It feels like every team outside of like maybe 1 or 2, Portland and Washington, and again, they're bad, has had their best 3-point shooting night of the year against Memphis, which has been a theme for a couple of years now.
I think Washington shot like in the single digits. Yeah, they were so bad.
But like the good teams are hitting. Like the Lakers were 50% from the floor, 48% from 3, but 68% from the free throw line. We were 81% from the free throw lines, 47 from the floor, and 36 from 3. But like that perimeter defense we're missing from Vince was a large part of last night's loss. Leaving Jaren Jackson Jr. on the bench at the end of the game when they put LeBron and AD back in was probably like contributing to it. But last night is one of those games where the Lakers were hot. We didn't have perimeter defense because like there's no way that if Vince Williams Jr. plays in this game last night, that Dalton Connect goes 5 for 5 from 3. Like he would absolutely shut that down.
I tend to agree with you because just the addition of Vince Williams Jr. is a subtraction of Luke Kennard because that's who closed the game last night. It wasn't Jake LaRavia. He didn't, that I remember in that stretch. I don't think he closed the game last night. It was Luke. And, but the problem with the giving up the butt naked threes, as I've called them, and Chris Vernon calls them, and I just like I like to throw out the words butt naked anytime,
any chance. Yeah, absolutely.
So, the problem with butt naked threes is not on ball defending; it's over helping. And Vince Williams Jr., like, he may not over help, but his best asset is the on ball guy, and he's the guy that you can throw in on any size player. You know, I love Marcus Smart. I do. I've always been team Marcus Smart, and Grizzlies Twitter and Grizzlies, Discord and everything. There's a very large, I don't know if it's minority or majority or whatever, but that forgets about how good he can be. And last night he was so good. He guarded LeBron the whole night, and LeBron was fine, but he was fine. Yeah, you gave you a chance.
He was better against Jalen Wells, and Jalen Wells looked like a rookie last night, unfortunately, because LeBron had it. Like LeBron was going to do that, and I think
he is a rookie guarding LeBron. Freaking,
you're going to have ups and downs. Like I ain't mad at Jalen. Yeah. Like you did your best last night, bro. Like I give you that. But again, that's where like Vince can help that because then you can run a 2-man platoon of Vince and Marcus on LeBron and leave Jalen Wells on Dalton Connect, on Austin Reeves, guys that he can defend right now, but like you're playing a generational player in LeBron. Like hats off to Jalen. You did the best you could last night. But a 2-man platoon of Marcus Smart, who like, yes, for his offensive struggles this year, is still a top NBA defender, and Vince, who's just crazy. are going to do better against LeBron in the game in March and in coming games. And so last night, yes, like I wanted to gripe about Taylor Jenkins' lineups at the end of the game. There are things we can take away, but at the end of the day, it's a loss. Like it's one of those games. You lost to the Lakers at home. They play better at home this year. They're 6-0, like you said. We had a chance to win at the end. We just didn't have all of our horses back. We play this game again in Memphis, March 29th. Knock on wood, given health, that's going to be a different game.
Listen, there's blame to go around in any loss, and I would have left Jaren Jackson Jr. in the game. Just let the record show. However, if I'm ranking reasons why we lost, shooting 50% as allowing the home team to shoot 50% from three, I kind of rank that pretty highly. Although I still wouldn't have. You leave your best players on the court. He got taken out with 5 fouls. He ended the game with 5 fouls. Like,
I mean, that's it. Like those don't carry over, and don't miss me with rest because like he played 32. LeBron played 37 minutes. We don't play again until Friday. You ain't got to travel that far.
No, I don't think it was a minute Sunday at all.
Like I just don't like. To me, in last night's game, JJ Redick showed a little bit better feel because he put LeBron and AD back in at that timeout with like 4 and some change left. Absolutely. He trusted them, and TJ did not trust Jaren, who has had more 30-plus point games than foul outs in the last 3 seasons. And I just personally, I wish like they were still going to shoot what they were going to shoot. Jaren could have helped with AD some, but where he helps is he was going toe-to-toe with those guys last night, like shot for shot, bar for bar, as Soulja Boy once said, and was keeping with them, keeping us in that game. And when he got put back in, yes, the lead ballooned more, as you pointed out in the green room, but we had lost any semblance of momentum at that point, and the game was already over. Like at that point, you had lost your shot.
So I'm looking, I was going to see if I could quickly, and I don't think there's anything I can do quickly, but where the game was lost for the Grizzlies is, I believe I'm right, but Anthony Davis picked up his 5th foul in the 3rd quarter. And at that point, he sat for 10 minutes of game time. And whereas without Anthony Davis in the FedEx Forum last week, LeBron was minus 21 on the game, despite high shooting numbers. You did not extend your lead. And I know Brevin made that comment, but when Anthony Davis finally came back with 5 fouls, yes, they trusted him to finish the game out, and he did win the game for them. You did not extend that lead in the second half of the 3rd quarter and the first half of the 4th quarter when Anthony Davis was on the bench the whole time.
Exactly. And you know, a lot of that was no shots were falling for anybody not named Jaren Jackson Jr. last night. Santi was 6 of 14. Pip was 6 of 14. Zach Edey was 3 of 8. Zach Edey finished with a plus 12. Like, kudos to the rookie for coming off the bench and finishing with a plus 12. Like, he had big minutes. He defended AD well. He defended LeBron okay, which is all you can ask for against LeBron. I was impressed.
If the Grizzlies would have pulled that game out last night, the MVP would have been Zach Edey. He 100%. Was absolutely incredible. We were talking in a group message. I don't remember if it was the Discord. If you're not in the Discord and you're a Grizzlies fan, $5 a month, hop in the Discord with us. Absolutely. We chatted the whole game. The main driver on whether or not Zach Edey starts or not, to me, when it comes to the Lakers, it's who gives you the best chance to not let Anthony Davis get every single rebound. Yeah. And Zach Edey battled all night. He had some good buckets, but I mean, honestly, he finished with, what did you say?
He's plus 12 points. 12 points, 8 rebounds. Yeah.
Yeah, and 1 assist. And he was a plus 12. I mean, he was really, really good last night.
That's all you can ask for a rookie against 2 generational players. Like, AD is having an MVP caliber season, and LeBron is one of the greatest to ever do it.
And when you're playing Anthony Davis, use your 6 fouls. And he did.
That's it.
Like,
and he did. He did. I mean, yeah, he had 6. I think J Huff had 4. No, J Huff didn't have any, but Tripp had 5. Like,
J Huff had a night to forget.
Yeah, he was as good as he was in his revenge game against the Lakers. He was equally bad last night.
Yeah, if you want to hear a fun stat, he was 0 for 4 from 3, 3 of 8 from the field, 13 minutes. He did have another nice reverse alley-oop.
Mm-hmm. And a pretty big block.
Yeah. Oh, and the block was amazing. Yeah. But I had the plus minus pulled up, and I was just scrolling through it. And now this is not per game. This is just straight plus minus. On the season, Jaron, Brandon, Santi, Ja, Jake, Jalen, Luke, Edie, Pippen, Smart, Colin Castleton are all positives.
Oh, no.
Okay?
I don't like this stat.
Negatives, Yuki -3, Conchar -7, Bain -21, J Huff -26.
I don't like that stat. Moving on. We don't like that stat. So the Grizzlies, we're going to talk. Look, that's a loss. Like, it is what it is. We're moving on. We got the Warriors coming up. Got to bounce back. You can't lose a game twice. You can't lose a game twice. Got to bounce back. The Warriors are hot. Like, whatever they've done has made that team better somehow. Like addition by subtraction. But you still have Steph Curry. I mean, that's absolutely it. So heading into that, Drew, we'll kind of talk about that more here in just a few minutes. But like, we've got a good problem on our hands. And you brought up this segment in the green room. Like, we're getting Vince Williams Jr. back on a night that we're really going to need him to handle some of Steph Curry. We're a very deep team. Taylor Jenkins is known to play 11, 12, 13 guys. It's what he likes to do. But the championship teams and the teams that are always in it at the end, your rotation shrinks to 8 or 9, 10 at the most. And so I think we're being greedy to ask him to shrink it to 8 or 9. For a guy who likes to play a lot of players, we're settling on 10. I think 10 is a good number of guys to play. And we've got 10 guys that can play. But what 10 are going to play, Drew? This is a problem we've never really had in the history of our franchise. But we've got a really deep team. So what are your thoughts? Like, what 10 guys are we thinking? I know this was your segment. I kind of set it up.
Yeah. So
what do you think?
We're going to start with this starting lineup. This starting lineup that started the season. It's Ja, Bain, Smart, Tripp, and Edie. That's what we're going to play. All 5 of those guys. Don't matter the starting lineup anyways. But all 5 of those guys are going to play, obviously. Yep. So you've got 5 guys to choose from. If you just want to shout a name off, or I'll shout a name off, you shout a name off.
Okay.
Start from the top, very obvious for me, is Santi Aldama. Santi's going to play. He's probably the most versatile player that we have on the team. I think Santi's going to play. You have one that's obvious to you?
Yeah, I do. It's Brandon Clark. Like, Brandon Clark is coming back. He's getting healthy. He's playing good. He gives us athleticism at the 5 for what he lacks in height. He plays taller than what he is.
Yeah.
He's 6'10", great rebounder, but he plays like over 7 feet. Great rim protector and starting to get some bounce back. Love the little floater that he's got working for him this year. BC, to me, would be the 6th or 7th guy.
Probably the guy that I'm most happy is in this rotation, just as a person, as a fan. Like, I was really down when he started the season and he looked really rough, but he's gotten his sea legs back. I love to see Brandon Clark.
And I hope, as much as we try to put him in trades earlier in the year, I kind of hope he doesn't go anywhere.
Oh yeah. Same. The next obvious one for me, and I feel like after this one, you probably think there's one that's really obvious, but I'm going to have some thoughts. Vince Williams Jr.
Yeah.
It's going to be in there. And so as we stand here at 8, you've got a backup 4, 5, 2 backup bigs, we'll call, in one wing. So
I think there's one more obvious one.
Oh yeah, I'm forgetting about this one. Yeah.
So where we're going to debate is the other wing. I think our obvious backup point guard is Scottie Pippen Jr. He's had some rough games, but Scottie is showing that he can play. Last night against the Lakers, he had 15 and 3 assists, 3 steals, and only 2 turnovers. Like, Pip is playing really well. So that's 4 guys that's obvious. I know where you're going with this. You know where I'm going with this for our.
Well, no, I don't think you do. So we're at 9 now, and I'm just going to tell you the players that we haven't picked, and we're going to debate who gets number 10, I guess. So we do. Oh yeah, we do. All right. So we're missing Jake Arabia, Jalen Wells, Luke Kennard, John Conchar, Jay Huff, and G.G. Jackson Jr. For one spot. Do you have anyone you would want to nominate first?
To play or not to play?
No, to play. To play. Like, who would be your 10?
I mean, as much as I love Jalen Wells and what he's doing, it's G.G. Jackson Jr. He is generational. Like, what he did last year was in the pantheon of KD, LeBron, and Kobe as some of the only players to do what he's done. Now, Gigi can be a ball stop He's not a great defender. So there are things that I wish he did better that Jalen does better for the second unit, like defend, like shoot the 3 ball. But like I said on the Daily Grind earlier, my Bucks 2 cents that dropped yesterday afternoon, we have not seen Ja, Dez, Jaren, and Gigi play together. For me, the obvious 10th man here is Gigi because of that, because like of these, 6 guys we have left that we're talking about, Gigi to me has the most potential to be a superstar, not a good player, not a rotation player, which is what I think Jalen Wells will be, but I'm talking like superstar in the NBA. So for me, it's Gigi.
So I think I land on Gigi for a lot of the same reasons. I outlined early in the season. I don't know if it's on Daily Grind or on here. When we were just talking about this, that I'm a little nervous about Gigi because he got his name. I mean, he had an amazing year last year on a team that played 33 players in the season where he got to do whatever he wanted to do. He did not have to play in the team game, well, although he did try and he did succeed a little. But I worry about what Gigi's production looks like when you get 8 shots a game. Like, can you still impact the game in the way that we need to? So I do worry about that. I think Jalen Wells, you see, obviously, what he can do in a limited role, and he can be extremely effective. It's part of the reason why I think Jake LaRavia is excelling right now. It's because he's getting a lot of run. He may just be one of those players that has to get a lot of run to really be a positive player. He can't just come in and spot minutes and be good. Xavier Tillman paradox. That, you know, when you need Xavier Tillman, he shows up. If you don't need Xavier Tillman, he sucks. Yeah. You know,
I'm going to give flowers. I think that's where Jake LaRavia is. I agree. I think he needs minutes, and unfortunately, there's not going to be room for that on this team. So for me, he's a better trade asset to go play for the Nets or go play for the Hornets or somebody that we can go pull a guy back that can actually contribute to this team. Listen, I'm a known Jake LaRavia hater, as you like to call it. But I appreciate the efforts that he's done this year. He has shown a lot of moxie and played well above his head, but that doesn't mean that I think he's a rotation player on this team.
I 100% agree. And I feel like I was painted as an apologist for Jake LaRavia. However, I was just over here saying he doesn't suck. Okay. Like I wanted him to be the 12th man. Like he's not a guy that I just think should be playing in China.
So at one point you were arguing that he's going to be the 9th man. I can agree with the 12th man because if we've got our 10 and then I think Wells being 11, I'm fine with LaRavia being 12. LaRavia being that 12th guy.
And he's not a 9th man on this team because of the way that Jalen Wells is in. Like, he's not going to get minutes above Jalen Wells, I don't think, right now.
He has to. So, a lot of these guys are playing because of necessity. Like, give it 2 months or in a vacuum, we're healthy, and you're not getting these kind of minutes out of Huff and out of Jake LaRavia that you're getting now. Huff, to me, is a better, like, plug-and-play player, which is why I think he might be a little bit better of a 12th man, because if he comes in 8 minutes, he could very easily go 3 for 4 in that 8 minutes and swing a game, whereas Jake needs 8, 10, 12 minutes to kind of get going. Huff can come in and go on a heater like that.
Yeah, so I do land with you with Gigi. He's the most prototypical player that you can fit, that can fit any position as a 10th guy, and he probably is much higher than a 10th guy. And this sets up for like a very interesting trade deadline. Like, I don't know what the Grizzlies do. It screams consolidation. However, given the scars that we've gotten with all the injuries we've dealt with, is this really a problem? Like, if it's first world problem, you know.
I think the reality of what we're seeing, Drew, is I don't think Marcus Smart is a Memphis Grizzly after the trade deadline. I don't know that Luke Kennard is either. Championship teams need shooting, and if we can go get some picks for Luke Kennard, and then you from like a Boston or a New York or somebody, or Orlando, like somebody, the Pacers, somebody that's needing some shooting down the stretch, and you can get some assets in return for him. But you can turn Marcus Smart.
Send the white guy to Indiana?
I'm just saying, like, these are teams that come to mind, man. But like, you can go send Marcus Smart for somebody that can help immediately, like a Cam Johnson or a Cam Thomas or a Josh Hart, like somebody that's like needs a new home and somebody needs some defense. Like I think Marcus Smart is going to be the more likely trade because of like how much his salary is. Like you could pair a Marcus and a Jake LaRavia and get a lot in return.
I don't know, man. I feel like the most likely trade is, and we're going to talk about this a lot more. We're just kind of touching this, and I think the most likely trade is Luke and Santi because they're on the last years of a deals.
Same with Jake
and Jake, and so and of those three, like I really hate to see Santi and Luke leave because Luke's just got a quality that is just so hard to find. Like,
I mean, he's third all time in NBA 3-point percentage. Like the guy can absolutely fill it up,
and he's throwing a lot of assists. Like
he is, like he's really
something.
playing. Yeah, his game is morphed, which is why I personally think like feet to the fire. I think it's Marcus Smart that has moved at the deadline, and then we find a way to restructure Luke after the year. I don't know that we do both Luke and Santi, maybe. And Santi's played well enough to get a contract, but like I think it's Marcus that gets moved because like we've got Vince and we've got Jalen that does the things that he does. Now, Jalen not on the same level as Marcus yet. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but we got guys that play a similar game who can actually shoot because Marcus is becoming an offensive liability. Like he can't shoot real well. And so we got guys that have his skill set. We don't have guys that can shoot like Luke Kennard, right?
When we get Ja and Bane back, I would rather play Smart than Wells just because if you're talking win now, like I want a guy like Marcus Smart.
I mean, I get it, but I'm also like I would rather we get when we're fully healthy to me
for the future. I guess
I get
it.
I'm done. This season, when we're fully healthy, you called out that starting lineup. My starting lineup would be different. My starting lineup would be basically the same. Ja, Dez, Trip, and either BC or Edie, either one. Like I don't care, depending on the matchup. But I'm starting Vince at the 3, and then
I just threw that lineup out because that's what they threw out when everybody was healthy.
I like Marcus coming off the bench. I think that Vince will be your starting small forward by the end of the season, and it's going to be Marcus will be your first one off the bench. Jalen Wells shortly thereafter him. Personally, I think Vince is the long-term answer at the 3 for us because he can go on a heater. Like how many times we seen him get 20, 25 points last year while also putting the clamps on Luka and Steph and Clay and some of these other like big-time shooters. For me, long-term, I think our best starting lineup and closing lineup for that matter is Ja, Dez, Vince, Tripp, and BC.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Or at all. I'd have to really digest that and kind of see how it works out. But I do like the idea of Marcus coming off the bench as I don't know. The bench and starter thing is so muddled for the Grizzlies. I mean, you're getting your first bench guys at the 8 to 9 minute mark in the first quarter. So
because we run so much, we run a positionless
I care more
offense.
about who closes, and
Agreed.
I think that Marcus is at his most beneficial in a close nip tuck closing situation. That's where the character of Marcus Smart comes out.
I don't disagree with that. And I like controversial again in a close nip and tuck game. I'm almost like Ja, Marcus, Vince as the 1, 2, 3, just because like Desmond can score. But we all know that defense isn't his strong suit. And now if he's on a heater and like I think that's kind of interchangeable, right? Like if Dez is having a game, like you don't take him out. But in a close game and say Dez is sitting at like 12, 14 points and it's back and forth like the Laker game last night, I don't hate the idea of having either Vince or Jalen at the 3 and Marcus at the 2 to try and shut down some of their scoring and then let Ja and Tripp be your offensive players.
Yeah, there's definitely validity to that, and I'm curious to see. It's like we're a season and a half into like when everybody gets healthy. What does this look like? So I'm really at this point. I'm only looking forward to just getting healthy. I'm not. Yeah. So we'll handle that the rest of the way. But we're at the 46-minute mark here on the $2 Sports Show, and we want to just really quickly preview the Golden State Warriors game that you're going to watch tonight. It's an 8 p.m. tip, which is a little better than 9.
Mm-hmm. Get you an hour
but
back.
It is our first in-season tournament game, our first Emirates Cup game against, call us all fools, a surprisingly good Golden State Warriors team.
Yeah. You're not wrong, man, because everybody, myself, you and I both had kind of moved them down as like a play-in type team.
Well, that's what they were. Like, that's not like a stretch,
Right. Like, it's not like we were way off in that.
Yeah.
But the absolute Warrior, the Warriors been an absolute juggernaut this year. They're sitting at 9-2. They're 3-1 at home. They've won 3 straight home games as we visit the former Oracle. What is it called now?
It is Oracle.
It's Oracle now. It used to be something.
No, it used to be Oracle. I don't know.
And it's now the Chase Center. It's the Chase Center now. Like, it used to be Oracle Arena. Now the Chase Center, where they've won 3 in a row. Yeah. This was the team, right? Like, this was the first rival that we really had. And so these Warrior games mean a little bit more to me. I know they do to Ja, who's not going to be playing, unfortunately. But it's looking like we're going to get Vince back, and not a moment too soon, because the Warriors are one of the surprise, best 3-point shooting teams in the league.
Yeah. So, you've got Steph Curry, and Steph Curry is a free spot there. And he's amazing. In my opinion, I think he belongs on the Mount Rushmore of all-time NBA basketball players. Top 4, put him there. 4 rings, MVPs, best shooter of all time. I don't care who you knock off. He belongs up there.
Yeah, he's top 4 or 5 players all time, no doubt.
Yeah, no, I'm saying definitely top 4. He belongs on Rushmore. And it may be an off-season topic. We put our own Mount Rushmore together. But listen, nothing's more gut-wrenching than seeing DeAnthony Melton and Kyle Anderson playing for the Golden State Warriors. We thought it was bad when Kyle played for the T-Wolves and Melt played for the Sixers. But this is worse.
It is, because it's like
Melt was in the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm. And he's playing well. He's playing well for them. They beat the Mavericks 120-117 in their last game.
That was the return of Clay, and it was lit,
electric
in that play.
DeAnthony Melton had 14 points, 6 of 12 from the field, and plus 12. Let's see, Slow-Mo is not. He didn't play. He's been having some injuries and stuff. But Steph had 37. Draymond's actually playing really well, and he got 11 points and playing a much more
Hield has been great.
Draymond has been more controlled this year. He's kept his emotions in check. Kuminga has been
hit somebody in the head last week.
I guess that's fair. I forgot about that. Kuminga's been playing well, for a guy that we thought they were going to trade. Same with Kevon Looney in some limited minutes. The Warriors are they're piecing it together and figuring it out. And that's a bummer for the rest of the NBA.
The lesson you've learned is, as long as you've got Steph Curry, you've got a shot to be amazing. Not just good, but amazing. And that game against Dallas with Clay's return, everybody was wearing captain's hats for the Splash Brothers, and it was amazing. And Steph let him have it. Closed the game out with a 10-0 run in which he got in the ESPN camera and started screaming,
barking.
That was special. He kept grabbing his jersey. I think it said the Golden State. He said, "That's why you don't leave." And I was like, "Ooh, gosh!"
Yeah, in the words of Reese Davis, he let a naysayer know in the face of the camera. Absolutely, man.
It was. Listen, that was something special, and
and that's what Steph Curry brings, and that few players I know, but few players in the NBA can do that. That's it. Few players can bring that. That kind of energy comes from
outside of a Ja Morant heater. A Steph Curry heater is the most fun thing to watch.
To me, the most the guys with the most attitude when they are on and are fun to watch are Ja Morant, Steph Curry,
Henderson,
vintage Russell Westbrook. Westbrook used to get an attitude, and when he was having all those triple doubles, and even so far this year for the Nuggets, he's been that guy. When those 3 guys get an attitude and a chip on their shoulder, they're the most fun things to watch in basketball.
Yeah. So that's what we've got looking forward to in the weekend. There is 2 games against the Nuggets on Sunday, be Sunday and Tuesday, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then maybe one more game before we talk to you guys on next Friday. But we'll recap all that. If you're in the FedEx Forum on Sunday at 5:00 for the Nuggets game, you will find me and Buckets in the Grizz Den.
let's go. Yeah, we're gonna be spending all our money in the whole time. Like, going to watch the game in there. Now we'll be there. We've got Nuggets Sunday, Nuggets Tuesday. The Tuesday game is a group play for the NBA Cup. Sunday is not. Right, that is the Sunday. Sounds game. Be there early. Get your gear. Support the team. And then we have
night. So that's what they're doing. The old Sounds jerseys, and I'm sure there's other stuff.
There's a giveaway, but I can't remember what the giveaway is. But then the Sixers come to town on Wednesday before we talk again. So we got a lot of basketball between now and then where we'll get to watch and kind of see what the boys have. Hopefully we'll get some good news. Ja's going to be reevaluated this weekend. So tomorrow, as if you're listening to this, hopefully we'll get some news out of that. But we'll see. A lot of good stuff coming out of Memphis. Drew, I'm glad we could get our yelling at each other out of the way to have a great show where we talk through our problems like civilized adults. It's the nice thing about having a little green room time before is we can get that off our chests so that we can tell you the facts without you having to worry about anything else because there are no refunds for what you hear on the $2 Sports Show.
That's right, because with the $2, you always get what you pay for. The HBCU game against the Nuggets Sunday, 5,000 fans gets a City Edition Letterman patch. So
yeah, we'll be.
I was looking it up. Not a jacket, just a patch.
Just a patch. We'll be there because the patch will be up there on that bookshelf after.
So, have a good weekend, everybody. It's been a pleasure. See you next Friday.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.